In the realm of entertainment, no one man has ever been more prominent during the last 3 decades than that master showman who has more than once lent his very life, blood, and ingenuity to sustain, vitalize, and even help create a new and more substantial industry. Not because the true import of his name demands that we be gentle with superlatives, but because he himself is such a swell guy, we know he would become sincerely embarrassed at our words. So may we merely present him as the world's greatest entertainer, Al Jolson.
Thank you, Ken Carpenter. Those are very sweet words, and believe me, I'm grateful. Hey, I'm grateful to anybody that says nice things about me. And all you folks listening in, good evening. And at this time, I want to tell you, you're in for one of the greatest evening's entertainments you've ever listened to on the radio. But before I say anything about the show, well, honestly, I don't know how to begin. These studios are so beautiful, my hat is off to everyone connected with a national broadcasting company, especially to my good friend, Deke Aylesworth, the president of NBC. He is my friend, and I have every reason to believe he will remain my friend. I never asked him for a job, and he's never offered me one. Deke Aylesworth, what a man. I don't know how in the world one man can accomplish so many things. Get this, he's president of the National Broadcasting Company. He runs RKO and Radio City, too, and still he finds time to be nice and sweet to even the elevated boys in the building. That, ladies and gentlemen, is a man. And still, Mr. Aylesworth, I don't need a job. Unless, of course, you know a good sponsor. But, ladies and gentlemen, I've got to tell you about these new studios. I only wish I had enough adjectives and superlatives at my command to explain how really beautiful they are. Well, the moment I got here tonight, 2 footmen in gold braid uniforms came running out to my car. At first, I thought it was a finance company. Well, they helped me out of the car. They led me up to a great, big, polished marble entranceway, and a couple of other guys in uniforms helped me get inside the door. And mind you, they kept helping me, lift me up. And I hadn't had a drink all day. And what do you think? There was a line of page boys in pretty blue uniforms. They showed me all over the place. Big, beautiful auditorium studios. And what dressing rooms for the artists. Showers and everything. Right away, I took a bath. No, I'll waste water at my house. Well, I could go on like this all night, but I'm not going to. I'm going to get this show underway. And just to give you an idea what a terrific show we're going to have tonight, who do you think I'm going to call on first? One of the greatest singers of popular songs that ever lived. You know who I mean. Bing Crosby. Dressed up too, Al. Boy, and is he dressed up in evening clothes? Yes. He looks like a plumber. Well, we got to laugh. I'm glad you came this way. If you'd worn a full dress suit, you'd look like everybody else. At least you look different. Right this way, Bingo boy.
Bad but different.
Huh?
Bad but different.
Oh, no, you look cute. That Encino life, you know, out on the old ranch. Are you made up to work with your horses in the morning, or what is it, Bing?
All right, I'm going out in the morning.
All right. Bing just came over here. I want to tell you folks from the Paramount Studios is going to sing Treasure Island. And it'll be accompanied by Victor Young and the orchestra. All right, Bing, Treasure Island.
I sailed away to Treasure Island, and my heart stood still when I landed on that silvery shore. We met that day on Treasure Island, and the smile you gave was the treasure I'd been craving for. Then came those moments of bliss in the shade of the sheltering palm. I still remember your kiss as you nestled within my arms. I looked for gold on Treasure Island, and I found that gold when you gave your golden love to me.
Sweetly, Victor. Lightly.
still remember your kiss as you nestled within my arms. I looked for gold on Treasure Island, and I found that gold when you gave your golden love to me.
Thank you, Al. Thank you very much. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Here with us tonight in these new NBC Hollywood studios is a man whom America has loved for many years for his simple and homely philosophies in poetry. You've read his books, you've read his newspaper column of poems, and you've heard him on the air often. Soon you are to see and hear this famous fireside philosopher in a motion picture entitled You Can't Lose, which he is making now at the Universal Studios here in Hollywood. Of course, I mean Edgar Guest.
Thank you very much, Mr. Wilson. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm most happy to appear for a few minutes from this dedication program and congratulate the National Broadcasting Company and its friendly staff at Hollywood Entire from the achievement of this new and serviceable building. I've never grown used to radio. I still don't believe it. I know that what I'm now saying may be heard around the nation in high place and low, in the library, at the hospital bed, by the rich, by the poor. But how it's done still baffles me. Heard you last night, wireless to friends from a ship in the Pacific Ocean last winter. I believe he must have done so, but it still seems incredible. On the evening referred to, I did speak at a microphone in Chicago. But that my voice should be heard on a ship at sea was, and still is, beyond my powers of imagination. This evening, as I stand in this studio, the marvel of it all is to me that by this magic of men and machinery, the artists who appear here are given the world for an audience. Up to very recent years, the great singers and the great talkers, the rulers and the princes, the statesmen and the champions in all lines of human endeavor were the privilege of only the very few. Only those heard Patty who could get within range of her voice. Only those heard the Gettysburg Address who could crowd around the beloved Lincoln as he spoke. Today, because of this thing called radio, men and women everywhere are ear witnesses to the world's great events. This station daily, long after we're gone, will be presenting to the enrichment of the home life of the entire nation the finest and the best of Hollywood. A thing of tubes and wires. And lo, the miracle of radio. The simple dial turning round searches the atmosphere for sound and captures from the silent air song, music, eloquence, and prayer. How strange this mystery of things which to mankind such pleasure brings, and day and night with cheer illumes the dreariest and loneliest rooms. I never turn the dials round, but what I feel a thrill profound. Fed by the magic microphones, the air takes up its freight of tones and carries safely every word till nationwide the voice is heard. A singer in New York appears, and distant California hears. Oh, happier world, where all may know this miracle of radio, these things of tubes and wires now grace the mansion and the cottage place, and rich and poor alike may share the golden harvest of the air.
Every great profession has its deans, its outstanding representatives in the field. So it is also in the realm of tap dancing. Of course, when he say that he's the daddy of them all, you know right away that we're talking about Bill Robinson, the man who talks with his feet. Tell us one of those tap dancing stories of yours, Bill Robinson, and make it hot, Bill, make it hot.
Well, it looks like everybody's singing, so I just soak my bunions perfect, and I'll get in the forest and try to get out the fire. Copacetic, let's go to town. that he was the one American entertainer who could, without question, successfully handle the comic and the pathetic, the ridiculous and the serious, all within the same show. Already Al has made us laugh tonight. Now he has something to the more serious side, a song which he loves above all others. Al, will you tell us about it yourself in your own inimitable way?
I'll be happy to, Don, happy to. Ladies and gentlemen, in reference to this song, The Cantor on the Sabbath, it's one of the very few songs I always will enjoy singing because, frankly, it's more than a song. It tells such a delightfully quaint story. It's a Jewish folk song. Naturally, it'll be difficult for me to sing it. You heard? And now, Martin, will you play The Cantor on the Sabbath, please? Ich gekommen nach Hasen in a kleine Städtele zu davnen auf Schabes. Haben gekommen zu Herren die schönste Ballabaten in Städtel. Einer a Schneider, der zweite a Schuster, and the dritte a Balagula. Die schönste Ballabaten in Städtel. Macht der Schneider hat gedammt, als ich sie mit den Nägeln hat sie, mit den Bigeleisen nach vorne hat gedammt. Hat macht der Schuster gedammt, als ich sie mit der Desviatie, mit der Hammerlack-Lappale, hat gedammt. Ay, 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 ay. Macht die Balagula, hat Gitarren, hat sie, mit den Laces hat sie, mit dem Beinschlag schneit herein, hat Gitarren.
Al Jolson will introduce our next artist. Here you are, Al.
All right, Jimmy. And now I want to introduce a new star in motion pictures. And yes, sir, a real star. This young fellow's been singing on the radio for a mighty long time. It was only a few months ago that I got his first chance in motion pictures. The chance came in the Warner Brothers' first national musical, Stars Over Broadway. And you have seen the picture, know the rest. Both the critics and the public were unanimous in acclaiming him one of the real finds of motion pictures. I refer to that singing sensation of the air and screen, James Melton. Tonight he joins us from Baltimore.
I was a dreamer, but I didn't even venture to think someone like you could care. Now life has turned into a beautiful adventure. I never knew that life on earth could be
That was Where Am I, ladies and gentlemen, from Stars Over Broadway. And I'm going to sing a little cowboy song that I sang in Stars Over Broadway, and it's called Carry Me Back to the Lone Prairie. I'm a roving cowboy, far away from home, far from the prairie where I used to roam, where the donkeys wander and the wind blows free. Oh, my heart is yonder by the lone prairie. Oh, carry me back to the lone prairie where the coyotes howl and the wind blows free. And when I die, you can bury me beneath the western sky on the lone prairie. Give me back my saddle, give me back my gun, give me back that bronco that I used to run. Let me lay my blanket by a peaceful stream, hear the cowboy singing by the campfire gleam. Oh, carry me back to the lone prairie where the coyotes howl and the wind blows free. And when I die, you can bury me neath the western sky on the lone prairie. Hi-ya!
Thank you very much, James Melton. We now return you to Hollywood.
And now, folks, do you mind if I call up my little wife, Ruby, and tell her a few things? I just want to let you know, Ruby, that if we have a speech like Will Hayes just made again, I'll be home New Year's Eve. And Will Hayes, if you heard that, I'm not kidding. Well, folks, since I left the microphone a few moments ago, I met a whole lot of friends outside in the lobby. And I tell you, a lot of them are going to perform before this little old microphone before the show's over. But first, we're going to hop across the country to pick up a fellow who is waiting back in Pittsburgh. He's got to get the train for New York in a few minutes, but he's going to be with us on our program before he goes. You know, ladies and gentlemen, I've been in show business a great many years. That takes in the stage, the screen, and the radio. And in all that time, I've seen a great many of them come and go. Some of them were overnight sensations, but somehow they didn't have that metal which tends to make up the true artist. But every now and then, and believe me, folks, it's a rare occasion, a real artist comes along who has every qualification. One who not only entertains you, but one who has that indefinable something that makes the public love him. Some people call it personality. Some say it's charm. Others insist it's talent. Well, whatever it is, this guy I'm talking about has got it. Rudy Valley.
Hi-ho, everybody. As one of those early pioneers who broadcast in the rough, plain, and primitive studios out in Southern California and Hollywood, no one is happier than I that increased business and foresight has resulted in the building of the studios that we are dedicating tonight. NBC has one of the finest groups of engineers and control men and managers out there, and I hope that it won't be long that before I'll be back with John Swallow, Harry Jackson, and all that crowd out there in Hollywood. I've selected tonight a little number typical of the West, a popular tune of today called Boots and Saddles. Take me back to my boots and saddles. Let me see that general store. Let me ride the range once more. Give me my boots and saddle. Let me ramble along the prairie. Roping steers and old barracks,
with my body slim and thick. Give me my boots and saddle. Got a hankering to be with a banjo on my knee, strumming a pretty western tune. There's a gal in Cherokee, and she's waiting there for me under a Texas moon. So take me back to my boots and saddle. Let me greet each blazing morn on the ranch where I was born. Give me my boots and saddle. So take me back to my boots and saddle. Let me greet each blazing morn on the ranch where I was born. Give me my boots and saddle.
Thank you, Rudy Valley. And now back to Hollywood.
I owe everybody, but I'll pay.
Al, come here a minute, will you?
What's on your mind, Ken?
You told me just before this program went on the air that you'd been asked to sing a couple of songs.
Well, the way I feel tonight, I'm going to lay down in a bed in a minute. But I'll tell you the truth. I'll go you one better. Not a couple of songs. I'll sing you a medley of 3 popular songs, Ken. And believe me, in all seriousness, these songs have been popular for a good many years. 3 old ones. Hit it, Victor. Whispering while you cuddle near me, whispering so no one can hear me. Each little whisper seems to cheer me. I know it's true, there's no one dear but you. Whispering why you'll never leave me. Whispering why you'll never grieve me. Whisper and say that you believe me. Whispering that I love you. Come to me, my melancholy baby. Cuddle up and don't be blue. All your fears are foolish fancies, maybe. You know, honey, I'm in love with you. Every cloud must have a silver lining. Wait until the sun shines through. Smile, my honey dear, while I kiss away each tear, or else I shall be melancholy too. Oh, butterfly, neath the blossoms waiting. Oh, butterfly, oh, she loved him so. The moments pass and the hours pass into years, and that her tears, she murmurs low. The moon and I know that he be faithful. I know that he come to me by and by. But if he don't come back, then I never sigh or cry. I just must die for life. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we go all the way to Paradise Inn in New York City to pick up, who do you think? The old mousetrap. You know who I mean when I say mousetrap. The Yowza Kid. And believe me, he's a swell guy. I'm talking about my pal, Ben Vernon and all the lads. And do you folks know why I like Ben? It's because he's such a swell fella. Ben is so generous. There isn't a selfish bone in his body. Why, when he was out here in Hollywood a few months ago, we played golf every day. And naturally, we had our lunches together. Well, for 4 days in a row, I picked up the check. And on the fifth day, the waiter laid the check down. I made a draft for it, and Ben stopped me. He says, wait a minute, Al. There's a limit to everything. This time, we'll talk for it. Are you there, Ben?
Yes, sir. I is here, Al. What a kick it is to be introduced by Jolson, my old pal Jolie, the king. Gosh, if Winchell could only hear this. Yes, sir. I is here in the good old Paradise Restaurant in New York, ladies and gentlemen. And sure it's proud I am to pay me respect to the cycles, the what? The giant kilo cycles, the Hollywood NBC Studios. Long may they cycle, says I. And quicker than you can say Jack Robinson, we are going to play quicker than you can say Jack Robinson. And Billy Wilson will sing it. I hope you'll like it. Sleepy time in topsy-turvy town. I hope you'll like it. Your toys are topsy-turvy. They're scattered every way. It's time for toys and little boys. Call it a day. You've had a lot of fun. Come on there, little one. It's sleepy time in topsy-turvy town. Oh, your drum is tired. You're forced on the floor. You've run your little trains until they can't run anymore. It's time you run to bed. Come on there, sleepyhead. It's sleepy time in topsy-turvy town. You've counted all your painted wooden soldiers. It's time that you were busy counting sheep. Oh, come on and climb upon the maestro's shoulders, and he'll march you right on to sleep. Why, you're just a little rowdy. There's mischief in your face, but I'd be hard to find another one to take your place. Come on there, little clown. Let's turn the covers down. It's sleepy time in topsy-turvy town. Your soldiers are all nuts. They want to hit the hay, and Mickey Mouse and Popeye whisper, let's call it a day. So let's put out the lights and turn it for the night. It's sleepy time in topsy-turvy town. And now, time permits for one of the new ballads from the Warner Brother Picture Broadway hostess. Let it be me. Let it be me. Out there. Certainly been nice, and I appreciate NBC permitting us to pay our bit of a tribute to dear old NBC, the Hollywood Studios, where we spent so many, many wonderful months. I wish nothing but the best for you guys and you gals out there in Hollywood. Yowza.
Well, Ben, I want to congratulate you on one thing. You did longer than Will Hayes. It's a good thing you got that word yowza. If you didn't have that, you'd be selling pencils without a cup. And now, ask Winslow to top that. I like him, too. And now, I have a pleasant surprise for you. A very lovely and charming friend of mine just flew out from New York this week. She's a girl you all knew back in the days when there wasn't even a whisper in pictures. You know, back in the old silent picture days. Now she's a star in her own name on the radio. May I present someone we all know and love, Irene Rich. Come on out here, Irene. What a night. Irene, I'm glad to see you back here on your old stamping ground. We've kind of missed you lately around Hollywood.
Oh, thanks, Al. You know, I've kind of missed being in Hollywood while I've been away. I have like New York.
Oh, yeah. I suppose you've been seeing a lot of your old friends since you got back, Irene.
You know, I really didn't know I had so many, Al. Oh, it's been a real homecoming for me. Of course, I've been in town only a few days, and I haven't had much time because I had to work, you know.
I see.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Irene, I want to tell you something. That is, if you haven't heard it yet.
What's that?
It's great news.
What?
You heard about Tommy Meehan being kind of under weather for a while? Well,
Oh, yes.
Irene, listen, dear. Tom is right here in town again, staying at the Beverly Wilshire Hotel, and he's looking like $1 million.
Oh, I'm so glad to hear that, Al. I want to see him before I go back to New York.
Sure, Irene. Tommy Meehan was as great an actor in his day as ever walked in front of a Klieg light. And how the people loved him. I'm happy he's getting well again. And, Tom, I hope tonight you're listening in.
We all hope you're listening in. He's a wonderful man and a grand actor.
Excuse me, Miss Rich.
Yes.
I thought you'd like to know. Tom Meehan is listening in tonight.
Good.
A friend of his just told me a few minutes ago.
Oh, I'm glad, Mr. Carpenter.
Yes, and if you'll excuse me, I'm going right out and call Tom up on the phone and say hello.
Yeah, do it.
Find out how the show is coming over. I'll be back later.
Say hello for me.
You know, Miss Rich, when I saw you this evening, I just happened to think that you were certainly a representative of the screen world who went east to become a star of radio, and now returns to represent radio and at the same time acts as a representative who represents both radio and motion pictures.
Well, that's representing a lot. And now that you're through representing what I'm representing.
Well, that nearly got away from me, but I think I'm through.
Oh, good. Then I've decided to be your representative and pretend that I'm an announcer. May I?
Go ahead.
Now, before you can stop me, here goes. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going over to Honolulu to hear a voice that I love, and I know that you do, too. Yes, sir. Ruth Edding is waiting over there among the sea breezes and the palm trees to sing to us. Ruth Edding, the girl who rose to fame and affection in the Ziegfeld Follies, who found a newer and broader audience with the radio, and now combines her time between motion pictures and her first love, radio. Ruth Edding will sing Hawaiian Paradise. So I'm going to press this little button, and we'll take you now to Honolulu.
We greet you, Hollywood NBC, from KGU, Honolulu, Hawaii, the mid-Pacific station of the National Broadcasting Company's great network. One of NBC's own stars, Ruth Edding, will sing Hawaiian Paradise, accompanied by the composer Harry Owens with his Royal Hawaiian Hotel Orchestra. Thank you, Ruth Edding. Since 1931, Hawaii has enjoyed many outstanding programs from the NBC network, and KGU is proud to be affiliated with this great organization. Congratulations and aloha. Take it away, Hollywood.
One of America's outstanding baritones sang another highly successful concert in Chicago tonight. Everyone loves him for his beautifully rich voice and his engaging personality. John Charles Thomas.
Good evening, dear friends. I'm going home to my Blue Hills. Colin Wendell.
Weary of cities and their din, worn by the fight I'll never win. Lonely the years I've waited through for cloudy this world of woe. Back and travel to the kingdom of my Lord. Out of heaven, come 11, going there, I'm going there, I'm gonna climb the golden stair. Leave the devil and travel to claim my soul's reward. Now they'll wash me white as snow in Jerusalem land. Now the muddy rivers flow in Jerusalem land. I go, you go, all of us go to the Lord's baptizing. I know, wash me white as a driven snow in Jerusalem land. No, not all of you, only the sheep wind to come home. Hell, Holy Ghost, and hell I'm deep. Devil's gang don't never keep what I chosen. I swine to reap, swine to come home to Jordan. Swine to come home to Jordan. God, they'll give me raiment few in Jerusalem land. Turkey red and calico blue in Jerusalem land. Feed on possum and tater too. Drink those draughts of a heavenly dew. Lots for me and some for you in Jerusalem land. Bound to heaven, flying high, I'm flying high, right to the top seat in the sky, rising through you, to receive my soul's reward. How to heaven, oh, come 11, come on along, come on along, come on and join that sailor song. Yeah, hallelujah, hallelujah, in the kingdom of my Lord.
Thank you, Cal. Good night, Mother.
We are more than proud and happy to have with us this evening one of motion picture's pioneer actresses. Not so long ago, she made a picture at RKO which was titled Grand Old Girl. And today, the motion picture colony likes to think of her as just that, Grand Old Girl. May Robeson is so very sweet and lovely to everyone. Al, you and Miss Robeson have been friends for many a year, so I'm going to say the show belongs to May Robeson and you right now. All right, Al.
Well, thank you, Ken. Well made. Rather nice, isn't it?
Most beautiful studio I've ever been in. National Broadcasting Company has reason to be very proud.
Yes, and Hollywood ought to be proud, too. This completes the town.
Do you know, Al, I'm beginning to feel a little bit sentimental.
Mhm.
At my age, I should know better. But this is all so lovely. Somehow I keep thinking of Will Rogers. He'd like to see this. He'd like to be here with all these people.
Yes, May. We'll always like to be with people. Will said, I never met a man I didn't like.
Yes. And Will said, and I say, I never met a man who didn't like Will Rogers. But what he did was more important. I mean, he was more than a humorist, more than a philosopher who understood the hopes and fears of humanity. Will was an influence.
He was the greatest influence for good, for happiness, the world has ever known. Yes, May, Will would like to be here. And May, I think Marie Dressler might also like to be here.
She was the bravest woman I've ever known. Like Will, she knew men and women, and their big and little problems, their dreams and their strivings. And though she had problems of her own, she submerged them in her work. She made people laugh, and there were times when she herself wanted to cry. Oh, yes, Al, Mary and Will would like to be here. and so would all the others. Names come flooding back to me. People who right here in Hollywood entertained the world, made it better and a happier place.
John Bunny, first of the great picture comedians. May, I don't think he'll ever be forgotten.
Well, why should he be? Why should anyone be forgotten who has lifted the heart of humanity and made it forget its woes?
Wally Reed, Milton Sills, Roscoe Arbuckle,
Yes, and Dustin Farman, and Alec Francis, and Lou Cody,
Renee Adderey, Mabel Norman, Barbara Lamar.
Lillian Tashman, Louise Closser Hale, Sam Hardy, and, oh, Al, we mustn't forget. We can't forget.
No, we never will forget. We never will forget Rudolph Valentino. The list is long. The list of those who played their parts on the stage of life as God taught them to play them. Who did their best to win man's minds away from drab reality. Who helped humanity to carry the world's curious burden. They're gone.
But they're listening, Al. They're listening. Yes, Al. This broadcast isn't confined to the ether that surrounds the earth. This broadcast has broken through. It's being heard in the precincts of far-flung stars. It's telling Will Rogers and Mary Dresser and all the others who made Hollywood the center of the world's entertainment that we are marching in the paths they marked out. That as they brought joy to men and women, so shall we, if we can, for as long as God lets us.
And so, May, let us now dedicate this building and all that it houses. Let us dedicate its hopes and aspirations, its beauty and its strength, to those who, as you say, are listening from some other plane. Let us say to them, you are great and good. You are bringers of spiritual health to mankind. You are the servants of happiness. We shall carry on in your memory. We shall never let you down. That, May, is what they would say to us.
What matters when you join the poll? If your name is called when young or old. In looking back, I think you'll find what counts is what you leave behind. Not riches, jewels, not your wealth, not even fame, not robust health. So many leave all these and more when passing on to that other shore. The only legacy that justifies is love that lives, that never dies. So give your life. Spend all your years in shedding joy. Give smiles, not tears. Then, when death claims its time to sever, we'll live in loving hearts forever.
And now a surprise. I've seen the audience tonight a man I insist to come up here on the stage of our glorious auditorium. After all, you know by now that this auditorium is pretty. I see no one else than that great sport writer, fine golfer, Franklin Wright. The last time I saw you, Grant.
Just wait a minute, Al. The last time I saw you, you told me you couldn't break a 90. You shot a 74 and it cost me $15.
Oh, forget it, Grant. It was just an off day. I'm sorry.
Well, so am I. Now, how about that $15? I can still use it, Al.
Now listen, Grant. This is a broadcast. Don't get commercial. But look, to show you I'm a square shooter when I don't strike a hook, I still like the shorts you make. And by the way, are you still making them?
Oh, well, they're still making me. If I can be made, and probably I can. I wouldn't know.
Radio.
But that doesn't square
radio.
that $15, Al.
Listen, I'm sorry, but I haven't got $15 with me. This is the Warner Brothers suit I got on. Listen, let's swing over to football and talk about the Rose Bowl game.
Listen, Al.
Yeah.
Did you ever hear about a fellow named Frank Buck who brings them back alive? Well, I saw a fellow today that Frank Buck couldn't bring back even half alive.
Who's that, Grant?
I'll tell you. Al Masters, the graduate manager of Stanford. I saw him about 2 hours ago, and he told me that they were going to have 160,000 requests for seats at Pasadena where they can only seat 85,000. Requests for seats that have broken all past records, and everybody had better figure on that.
Well, look, Grant, you stand pretty good. How about 6 seats for me on the 50-yard line?
How about that $15?
Still commercial, eh? Listen, what I want to know is this. Who's going to win?
If I knew Al, I wouldn't want that $15. But I'll say this. I've seen that Southern Methodist team.
Yeah.
Stanton will have to be about 2 touchdowns better than they've ever been so far. Maybe 3, I wouldn't know. But they'll have to be better. Those Texas Mustangs can range far and long. I'll tell you just how good they are, Al, if you want to know. They're the Al Jolsons of football.
The Southern Methodists are the Al Jolsons of football?
Just what I said, Al.
Grant, here's your $15.
Thank you very much, Al.
Now Phil Regan sings. These are familiar words of late to listeners from coast to coast. Why, ladies and gentlemen, Phil Regan is...
Wait a minute, Ken, wait a minute.
All right, I'll go
If
ahead.
anybody's going to introduce Phil Regan, it's going to be me.
Well,
After all, who has a better right to introduce him when you consider that Phil and I are both under contract to the same picture studio? You know, the Warner Brothers. How am I doing, Jack Warner? I guess I didn't get the name in tonight, huh? Phil and I not only work together, we happen to be pals. And as Ken was about to tell you, Phil Regan is unquestionably one of the finest singers on the air. It is my privilege and my pleasure to present that Irish tenor, Phil Regan. Thank you, Jolson. I like the way you produced me. Want me to sing? Okay. What is this? I said Phil Regan. I didn't say Patsy Flick. How do you know I'm not Phil Regan? It's not Phil Regan. I'm telling you it's not Phil Regan. Sure, and it's Regan. Can I help it if you talk with an accent? Maybe I'm crazy. I wouldn't argue with you. All right. No argument. Sit down, will you, Patsy? And let's go on with the show. And now, ladies and gentlemen, I bring you one of Warner Brothers' rising young stars, Phil Regan, who will sing that old favorite, It Was So Beautiful. Okay, Phil Regan.
It was so beautiful, so wonderful, so gorgeous, so divine, and you are mine, and you are mine. It was so beautiful, so marvelous, the stars above us shone, we were alone. The time was right, the moon was low, I held you tight, how could I let you go? It was so beautiful, so wonderful, so gorgeous, so divine.